Hi guys, welcome back to this next video about learning Power Apps. My name is Pau Kroon and I'm gonna be your host. And today we're gonna look about lists or tables. And in Power Apps we basically build tables with different components like boxes, buttons and galleries. Because the table container doesn't, or the table control doesn't work very well. And I found it started very hard to get my my page very well organized. So I'm gonna show you how I do this on this moment, and I hope you enjoy this building very nice tables in this example. So let's go to Power Apps, and what we have here is just an app I'm building now for a client, and let's run this. And basically I have a button, and when I click this I go to the next screen, and there I want to build a list. And a list is basically a list of all objects in a gallery, and we use gallery for that. And in the next video I'm gonna have a form based on that control, so you have a very nice screen. And how does it look for the customer? And I think we have to talk about that. That's because the way I'm building my screens, it's going to be very nice, and that's the goal we have. So let's first go to the next screen, and when you look in the right corner you see we have this moment screen 1100. The title is new screen as above, and it's I basically have a level 1. So when we go to the app, you see I have some levels, level 1, 2, 3. That's the layers of a kind of screen. So I have one screen and not several screens, and I just say I have a layer there, and I open it based on the function I want. So now we have layer 1100 as we see here. So let's pick a template. You see here the corners is basically very neat organized between the header and the footer of my app. Let's copy this and paste a new screen, and let's rename this to L1100. Then we go to the visibility and we say L show in 1100 as we set the variable. So now it's visible. And now when we select it and put in a label, it will show in our screen. Let's run the screen. We go back to the screen is gone and the screen is visible again. So on the screen I here want to make a list which is nicely organized and very pretty for my customer. How do we do this? I'm doing this with building containers, and with the Hans group I call containers in this matter. So let's first say we want to have a container, so a group for our screen we want to show. So let's first put in the screen. Let's put it to the end and make it a little bit bigger, and then go to the height. And here say parent.height. So it takes the height of our group, which we show on setting the variable to 1100. So let's rename this to L1101, because this is my first screen in my mother screen or my parent screen. So now we have a screen. Now let's add another control. Do it in the back. Say this gonna have a height of like 35, and we can also click here to in one time go to the width property of the control, and here we say this is the parent width. So now we have a container for our headers. So let's call this rename L1101 underscore headers. I want to have another group. Oh, put it here, and I'm gonna call this F, and the F stands in my case for filters, and the F should be organized behind the header. So let's delete the group I placed wrongly, and above that let's add in a, oh no, let's do that a little bit different, because I here have template controls for everything I want to use. So let's first say we want to have a gallery header. Let's put it in the corner, go to the width property and say this is the same as our parent dot width. Let's put the text in the center and say my list name. Let's rename this one. Rename to L1101.title. So we have a title, then under there we have a header, and then we have a filter area. Now let's select this two and say for the border color we want to set it the same as the header. Dot fill. We want to set it to 1 and it should be solid. Okay, so now we have nice lines between our groups. Now let's go to the mother element, the 1101, and we're gonna do the same there. So we're gonna put this to the header, dot fill. It should be solid, and let's put it also to 1. So now we run the app. We see we have a nice lines for our controls. We have a nice title bar. We're gonna set it to normally to disabled, and then the disabled fill color we're gonna set to the normal fill color, so you can do see the changing of the colors anymore. So here we're gonna place some headers, and here we're gonna place some filter controls. So let's do that. Let's say we have a text input, and this is a filter control. Let's set the Y to 0, and the height we set it relative to our parent. Let's make the first 100, for example, and take out the default and give it a hint that text from search. And basically saying this a 9 is okay here. Now let's take another header, put it in here, say this is 0, the width is also 100, the X is 0, and the height is the same as our parent height. Let's take away the text and call it for now column 1. So now we have a screen. We have a group which will shrink or be bigger based on what we want, and we have 3 elements containing a title, and of course if we want to we could put this in a group also. So the group have an orange line around it. We could do that, of course. We have a header group and we have a filter group. Now what we want to make a list. So let's put in a gallery. And the gallery is never put in the list right away, but just in the screen. I don't know why, but that's the case in PowerApps on this moment. So let's copy this and put it here in our screen. Let's reorder it to the back. And let's say the width has to be the same as the parent dot width. When we go to the border color, we put it to the header dot fill. We make it solid and we take a 1. Now we see that this has padding and we don't want that. So we take the padding to 0. And if we look now, we have a control with, okay, I forgot to put this to parent probably, or I trust it again. But when we do this, also the gallery will change by changing our parent group. Okay, now let's call the gallery L1101G for gallery. And now say, where should you start? Now, of course, we want the title dot height, plus we want the L1101 dot headers group dot height, plus our L1101 dot filters dot height. Okay, now let's copy the name of the group and go to the height of the property. And here we just take parent.height minus the control itself dot y location. So now it's nicely organized, and let's select the template and change the template just to 35. I think that is big enough for a list. Now take, for example, a gallery label, and I see I don't have the border set right, but basically normally I don't use the border for this, but of course you could. And let's say the y should be 0, the x should be 0, and you see this one we all put to 100. So let's do that the same with here. Let's put it to 100. And let's say this is column 1. And of course, normally this text would be this item dot a text, but probably we don't have a table here on this moment. So this basically normally will be empty. So now we have a list, nicely organized, nicely with lines, etc. So now let's look at this fill property. Okay, this is also a relative color, and go to the border color, the fill here, and say this fill should reference that also. And probably normal, you would say this should be a little bit lighter than this one, and you should have a title control Or let's do this based on a black color then, or something. Do like this, a little bit darker. So now let's say we want to have another control. Just we basically say we want to have a title of one kind and we want to set it to 240. And this is column 2. Just so you have another name, of course. So let's say here we want to search also. And what did I say? 240. Set this to 240. And you see, because we have it right behind the other control and the height is always the same height as our filter container or enhance scroll, enhance screen to of enhance group to have the filters, it's a nice organized. So let's say we want to have a third column 3, and say this should be 150. Let's put in another label. It's gonna be this item, column 2. And of course this item we don't have on this moment. It's 240. Let's copy this part. Hey, this should be 150. And this is this item, column 3. Or whatever name you have. So that what's also nice is to say I want to have a image here. Let's set the height to the parent. Dot height. Template height, sorry. We can do the same for this one. You can say, okay, the height should be the same as the parent dot template height. And let's say the height is 35 and here we want to add 10 or let's say 20. So we have some white spaces besides our image. And let's say here the image and let's just pick one which is not white, because then that may be something we have in. Let's do the calendar, because the calendar we have in dark blue and in a white color. So let's copy this part, go to the top. And here do the white. Or orange. I don't know. Didn't prepare this one, so doesn't always goes right away. So we set it to the template, but we have to set it to the height here and say, okay, we want to do it like this. And then we gonna have a search box. Let's take this out and say this should be 65 also. And the search should be a few probably, or a disabled. But you see then we have another color. So let's keep it edit on this moment and just skip the search. From there, here we could set the border color to the header.fill. And the border style is solid, and the border thickness is just 1. And I like this approach a lot, because here you could use the tooltip and the SHA-13 control to concatenate a string with multiple information about your gallery, so people can hover over it and see the tooltip. For example, the notes, or sometimes I have like task, and there I have a project selected, I have materials, I have a location, I have all kinds of things people put in, and I just have one control and say, okay, hover over it, and you see all the information which is added, and you don't have to click really a bit further to your form to show you all the information about this specific task. So it's a very good way to have a lot of information contained in the tooltips, which are logic to the customer. So, and sometimes I have more, like let's put in another one. Let's say running. Oh, running. Do we have running with a color? No, we don't have it with a color. Let's take another one. Details. Here. Okay, let's not do that. So let's take this out and just copy this one. Put it to the sides. Change the colors to, okay, normally I have a details white in there also, but let's take a white, click another one. And what we can do now, we can pick the parent and say, okay, we only need this part of our screen for the filter. And then when it changes, as we say, okay, we really need another control in here, and we have to display this. Say we take this to, and we want to put it in. Copy, paste. You see how fast this goes now, because we have our structure set very efficiently. Let's take this out. Oh, a little bit too far, I think. Oh no, it's okay. This we have a column 4 in our screen. Oh, wrong part. And I do Control set to set the width back, because this was changed, but I really need this control. Let's set it to the new width I want to have. And I have a really nice list with nice organized headers and footers. And of course, now you see this is selective. I will show you another trick with those controls, but for now let's set this to disabled. And as I said, the color of the fill and the color of the disabled fill is basically the same. So now this is only, how do you call it? These are only labels, and this is to filter on later on. So this ends this video. about building very nice looking lists or tables or whatever you want to call them, where you can put in your information about the tables you want to have in PowerApps. Now, I hope you like it, and I hope to see you in the next video, and then we can gonna go on this topic, and we gonna add a form, and we gonna do basically a little bit the same things as here, only for a form. Okay, it's gonna be fun. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.